There's a moment after rejection that no one talks about. A moment when the world goes quiet and all you can hear is the echo of your own doubt. The phone doesn't ring. The door doesn't open. The opportunity slips through your fingers like sand, and you're left standing in the ruins of what you thought would be. In that silence, your mind begins its assault. Was I not enough? Did I fail because I'm broken? Why did they choose someone else? Why did everything I built collapse? This is the crucible that every human being must face, the moment when pain asks you who you truly are. Most people run from this moment. They numb it with distraction, drown it in anger, or bury it beneath excuses. But the Stoic does something different. He stands still. He looks directly at the rejection, at the failure, and he asks not why it happened, but what it reveals. Because to the Stoic mind, rejection is not punishment. It is education. Failure is not the end of the road. It is the forging of the sword. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern society has forgotten. They understood that life does not owe you fairness. It does not owe you love, success, or recognition. Life simply is, and within that reality, you have one sacred power, the only power that can never be taken from you. The power to choose how you respond. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled Rome, wrote his meditations not from a throne of comfort, but from the front lines of war, from the weight of grief, from the chaos of a world plagued by disease and betrayal. He knew rejection. He knew loss. And yet, he chose to see it differently. He wrote that we cannot control what happens to us, only how we meet it. The outcome of love, the result of our efforts, the opinions of others, none of these are ours to command. What is ours is the quality of our character, the steadiness of our mind, the integrity of our response. When you are rejected, you are not being told that you are worthless. You are being redirected. Life is not cruel. Life is honest. It shows you where you placed your worth in the wrong hands, where you built your identity on unstable ground, where your expectations blinded you to reality. The Stoic does not crumble when the ground shifts beneath him, because he never built his foundation on approval. He built it on virtue, on self-respect that comes from within, not from validation. When a relationship ends, the Stoic does not beg for someone to stay. He does not diminish himself by clinging to what has already walked away. Instead, he honors what was, releases what is no longer, and turns his gaze forward. He knows that love, true love, does not require chains. And if it must be forced, it was never love at all. He understands that the person who rejected him was not the arbiter of his value. They were simply a mirror, reflecting back a truth he needed to see. Perhaps he had lost himself in the relationship. Perhaps he had abandoned his purpose to please another. Perhaps he had confused attachment with connection. Rejection, then, becomes a gift. It returns him to himself. It reminds him that he is complete, not because someone chose him, but because he chose himself first. Seneca, the great Stoic teacher, spent years in exile, stripped of his position, his reputation questioned, his life threatened by the whims of emperors. He could have grown bitter. He could have raged against the injustice, but instead he wrote some of the most profound philosophy the world has ever known. He wrote that adversity is the proving ground of greatness, that difficulties do not destroy strong people, they reveal them. Fire does not weaken gold, it purifies it. Pressure does not shatter diamonds, it creates them. When you face failure, when your dream collapses, when the business fails or the opportunity vanishes, you are not witnessing your destruction. You are witnessing your refinement. Everything that was weak in you, every false belief, every fragile attachment, every inflated expectation is being burned away. What remains is the truth of who you are, and that truth is far stronger than any illusion you were clinging to. This is the Stoic concept of amor fati, the love of fate. It is not the passive acceptance of suffering. It is not resignation. It is the active embrace of everything that happens to you as necessary, as purposeful, as part of your becoming. The Stoic does not say, "Why is this happening to me?" He says, "This is happening for me." Every rejection you face is shaping you. Every failure is teaching you. Every disappointment is stripping away the false layers so the real you can emerge. Most people spend their entire lives hiding from pain, and in doing so, they hide from growth. The Stoic walks toward the fire, not because he enjoys suffering, but because he knows that on the other side of it, there is a version of himself he has not yet met. A version that is wiser, calmer, more resilient, more free. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the greatest philosophers in history, taught that it is not what happens to you that matters, but how you interpret it. Two people can face the same rejection. One sees it as proof of their inadequacy and spirals into self-pity. The other sees it as feedback, as redirection, as an opportunity to rebuild stronger. The difference is not in the event. The difference is in the mind. The Stoic mind does not surrender to emotion. It does not let anger, sadness, or fear dictate the narrative. It observes the emotion, acknowledges it, and then asks, "What is within my control right now?" You cannot control whether someone loves you, but you can control whether you love yourself. You cannot control whether you get the job, but you can control the effort you put into becoming the person who deserves it. You cannot control the outcome, but you can control the process. And in the Stoic view, the process is where all true power lives. When Marcus Aurelius lost his children, when plague ravaged his empire, when betrayal came from those he trusted, he did not ask the gods why they had abandoned him. He reminded himself that loss is part of existence, that everything in this world is temporary, that clinging to permanence is the root of suffering. He wrote, "Everything is only for a day, both that which remembers and that which is remembered." The person who rejected you will one day be forgotten. The failure that haunts you will fade into irrelevance. But the character you build in response to that pain, the strength you forge in the fire of disappointment, that will remain. That will define you. The Stoic understands that life is not a series of victories. It is a series of responses. And the quality of your life is determined not by what happens, but by how you stand when everything falls apart. Modern society teaches you to avoid discomfort, to seek constant validation, to measure your worth by how many people accept you. But the Stoic knows this is a trap, because the more you depend on external approval, the weaker you become. Every rejection then feels like a threat to your existence. Every failure feels like proof that you are not enough. But the truth is, you were never meant to be validated by the world. You were meant to validate yourself through the choices you make, through the principles you uphold, through the way you treat yourself when no one is watching. The Stoic builds his worth from the inside out. He does not wait for the world to tell him he is strong. He proves it to himself through discipline, through integrity, through the refusal to let circumstances define him. When you stop seeking approval, rejection loses its power. When you stop needing external success to feel worthy, failure becomes nothing more than data, information. A lesson to be learned and integrated. Think about the moments when you were rejected. The job you didn't get. The relationship that ended. The dream that didn't unfold the way you imagined. In those moments, you felt small. You felt like the universe was against you. But what if it wasn't? What if the universe was simply clearing space? What if rejection was protection, guiding you away from something that would have kept you stagnant, unfulfilled, or bound to a life that wasn't truly yours? The Stoic sees rejection not as a door closing, but as a path revealing itself. He trusts that what is meant for him will not pass him by, and what passes him by was never meant to be carried. This is not delusion. This is wisdom. Because when you look back on your life, you will see that the things you thought were disasters were often the greatest blessings in disguise. The relationship that ended made space for you to find yourself. The job you lost forced you to pursue something better. The failure that broke you open allowed you to rebuild into someone stronger. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings. The Stoic is not a robot. He feels pain, anger, sadness, disappointment, but he does not let those feelings control him. He does not make decisions from a place of hurt. He does not lash out, spiral, or collapse. He allows the storm to rage within him, and he remains the eye of it, calm, centered, observing. This is mastery. Not the absence of emotion, but the ability to feel deeply without being destroyed. When you are rejected, you are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to feel the weight of disappointment, but you are not allowed to let that grief define your next move. The Stoic grieves with presence, not with bitterness. He mourns what was lost, and then he releases it. He does not carry the corpse of the past into his future. He does not let one closed chapter destroy the entire story. Rejection is a mirror. It shows you where you were attached, where your ego lived, where you placed your identity in something outside yourself. And once you see that, you can choose differently. You can choose to build your sense of self on something unshakable, on your values, on your actions, on the kind of person you are when no one is applauding. The Stoic knows that the applause will fade, the recognition will vanish, the love will change. But his character, his principles, his inner peace, those are eternal. Those cannot be taken. And so, he invests everything into cultivating them. He does not chase success. He builds competence. He does not beg for love. He becomes someone worthy of it. He does not fear rejection. He uses it as fuel. Because every time the world says no, he hears an invitation. An invitation to go deeper, to grow stronger, to become more aligned with who he truly is. There is a quiet power in the man who has been rejected and did not break, in the woman who faced failure and did not quit, in the person who lost everything and rebuilt with grace. That power is not loud. It does not announce itself, but it is unmistakable. It is the power of someone who has met themselves in the fire and emerged with clarity. The world will always test you. People will walk away. Opportunities will disappear. Dreams will collapse. But if you stand firm, if you respond with wisdom instead of reaction, if you use every setback as a stepping stone, then rejection cannot defeat you. It can only reveal you. And what it reveals is not weakness. It is resilience, not brokenness, but depth, not the end, but the beginning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the essence of Stoic philosophy. The obstacle is not blocking your path. It is your path. The rejection is not the end of your story. It is the plot twist that makes you the hero. The failure is not proof that you are not enough. It is proof that you are being prepared for something greater. Because the universe does not waste pain. Every ounce of suffering you endure is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for the life you are meant to live. But only if you choose to see it that way. Only if you refuse to let bitterness poison your heart. Only if you stand up, dust yourself off, and walk forward with your head high. Knowing that what happened to you does not define you. How you respond to it does. The Stoic walks away from rejection, not with anger, but with gratitude. He thanks the person who said no, because they freed him to find his yes. He thanks the failure, because it exposed the cracks in his foundation, so he could rebuild stronger. He thanks the pain because it taught him what truly matters. And in that gratitude, he finds peace. Not the peace of someone who never struggles, but the peace of someone who has learned to remain whole, even when the world tries to break him. This is the victory that no one sees. The calm under chaos. The strength under sorrow. The dignity under disappointment. These are the victories that define a life. Not the accolades, not the achievements, not the applause, but the quiet moments when you chose yourself, when you honored your values, when you stood firm in the face of loss and said, "I will not be destroyed by this. I will be made better." Because in the end, rejection can only break those who have not yet met themselves. The Stoic he knows who he is. He knows his worth is not given by others. It is forged in the fire of his choices, his discipline, his refusal to let the world dictate his peace. And that is why he remains unshaken. Not because nothing hurts him, but because he has learned that pain is temporary, but character is eternal. That failure is an event, not an identity. That rejection is redirection, not rejection. and that the greatest strength is not in never falling. It is in rising every single time, with grace, with wisdom, with the quiet, unbreakable knowledge that you are enough. You have always been enough, and no amount of rejection will ever change that truth.